it's not a character trait of scatterbrainness, as I've been led to believe my whole life, but rather high-functioning, off-the-charts, inattentive ADHD. It's why I'm really shitty with numbers, the concept of time, and remembering things. If you dated me, worked with me, or lived with me, you're probably thinking, wow, that explains a lot. All this is to say that my timeline is reconstructed to the best of my ability with help from friends, receipts, email, digital breadcrumbs, and the Doc Martens shoebox of artifacts from under my bed. Most of all, if there's a moment you recognize in these pages or a trait that feels as if it could be a bit of you or someone you know, please look through the nesting dolls to understand what influences a person is under, appreciating that we've all fallen prey to the things pulling our strings. Zero judgment from me, hopefully zero judgment from you in your new uninfluenced place. Lastly, I kindly ask that you scribble in the margins of this book. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Commonly attributed to Jiddu Krishnamurti. Introduction. I was receiving a flower lei at the airport in Honolulu when my life took an unexpected turn. My family and I had just arrived in Hawaii for what I thought was a run-of-the-mill tropical vacation, but my then-husband had a different idea. As my son looked up at me from his stroller, my partner held out his hand and said, "Give me all your devices." This was an intervention in a sea of Tommy Bahama in front of a fucking Starbucks. It changed the direction of my life forever. For years, I'd been working in marketing and branding, trying to influence people into living certain lives and buying certain things. At the same time I was reaping the benefits of success, I was also experiencing physiological symptoms that I couldn't explain. Not only was I constantly busy and addicted to my technology, but I was also going against my instincts, unsure whether I was on the side of good. And yet, in opposition to my misgivings, I kept being rewarded. Raises, title changes, and awards were given as positive reinforcement. So I went along with it all, assuming these practices were good, regardless of how I felt, because so many others said so. And because to think otherwise would make me an ungrateful, undriven lazybones. Terms like burnout and quiet quitting hadn't entered the zeitgeist yet. One by one, I handed over my laptop, my iPad, my phone. After some serious withdrawal symptoms, itchy brain, anxiety, reaching for an object that was no longer there, I finally surrendered to 2 weeks without my devices. It was on the 8th day of my forced digital detox that I woke up a changed person. I could smell the sea and salt in the air. I could hear the neighborhood rooster. I could tell you that I hadn't felt this alive, alert, and aware in years. I found my journal, dusty from being deserted, and wandered onto the lanai. Curling up in the hammock, I began writing for the first time in a long time. What came out was surprisingly a list. On the left side of the page, I wrote things like family, freedom, my time, music, nature, books, creativity, simplicity. These were my values, who I was and what was actually important to me. In the neighboring column, I wrote a list of what my current life consisted of: work, computers, stress, constant overwhelm, sad desk salads, scrolling, meetings, and meetings about meetings. Something wasn't adding up, and there it was in plain ink. I was sick, addicted, and lost. My path to this point has been circuitous, to say the least. As a young person starting out, I was someone who bucked the norm and resisted the status quo.